I found this very interesting report published yesterday by these very well put up researchers. They're more like academic, like they're more on the academic side of things, not in the journalistic side of things, which I think they have a keen eye to make a fair report and research about the developments like technology and weapon developments on criminal drug cartels. So this report is called First Reported Use of Weaponized Drones by the Sinaloa Cartel. CJ&G forces ambushed in Teocaltiche, Jalisco. This report is very recent, and it started out with the developments happening in Teocaltiche, Jalisco. We covered that, I think, last week when we saw this heavy fire in Jalisco between the Sinaloa Cartel and the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación in this small town widely controlled by a faction of the Sinaloa Cartel by a man called nicknamed Don Mario, and who is the right hand of the Guzman's family, one of the very few municipalities that are still holding control of these places in Jalisco, right? All right, let's read out from this report. On 22 April 2023, a Sinaloa cartel ambush used a weaponized drone attack, aerial bombardment, in Teocaltiche, Jalisco, on Calle Juárez, next to the intersection with Pensador Mexicano. A mobile element belonging to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel was targeted, resulting in their vehicle being set on fire and their personnel needing to engage in escape and evasion tactics. This is the first documented incident in which the Sinaloa Cartel has overly utilized weaponized drones and can be considered another firebreak crossed concerning weaponized drone use proliferation amongst the Mexican cartels. Then they're quoting some of the tweets where they got these information out of. Sicarios del Cartel de Sinaloa utilizando drones explosivos para bombardear sicarios. Then we're seeing these photos of the attack, where you see this kind of like night vision from the drone, which is really interesting to see. And scrolling through, they post a lot of different articles published around the explosive drones used in Teocaltiche. And I'm gonna scroll through the images. Then you have these other image from it says Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación vehicle prior to weaponized drone aerial bombardment, and this is an infrared view from the drone allegedly used by the Sinaloa Cartel. Then you have a shot of the vehicle being blown and some of the sicarios of the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación running for their lives outside the vehicle. We have more screens from there, and then you have literally a rundown of what's happening. The Sinaloa Cartel engaging in air ambush on a mobile ground element of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. What? 4 mounted infantry personnel in a Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación commando vehicle were targeted by a Sinaloa weaponized aerial drone bombardment. The vehicle subsequently caught on fire due to the drop bomblets, with the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación personnel fleeing the disabled vehicle on foot. 1 or more of the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación personnel engaged in ground suppression fires as the cartel members run out of the ambush zone down various streets, alleys to safety. Reports related to the incident suggest that an aerial drone is actively followed by the cartel gunmen as they fled to safety. When sometime on Saturday, 22 April 2023, under nighttime conditions, the drone imagery of the incident was taken in both infrared and normal vision modes. The video of varying lengths up to about 50 seconds was then released on social media, Twitter, publicly accessible accounts. where the incident took place in Tecoltiche, Jalisco, on Calle Juarez, next to intersection with Pensador Mexicano, which represents moderately urbanized terrain. Why the Calle Juarez Teocaltiche ambush exists within the larger context of ongoing engagement between the CDS under the Mario González Gutiérrez Don Mario faction, presumably representing Los Chapitos in Teocaltiche and Villa Hidalgo, and an undisclosed Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación operational commando unit with multiple abandoned vehicles left behind, having small arms damage. Now, the analysis. An edited non-sequential 50-second video was released containing Cartel de Sinaloa drone video imaginary on 24 April 2023. The video highlighted a aerial ambush of a Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación commando vehicle that was initially disabled, with the 4 cartel personnel firing for ground suppression purposes while they engaged in escape and evasion. The ambush took place during nighttime conditions on the street mentioned. The edited video begins with the burning Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación vehicle, the cartel gunman exiting it, and then laying down fires for dramatic effects. It then shows the vehicle prior to being attacked, the initial flare up of the vehicle, and the gunman again exiting, firing, and then being chased by 1 or more weaponized drones as they exchange in E&E from the ambush site through various buildings and backstreet yard areas. It isn't clear if the ambush was aerial only or if a CDS ground component was roughly at the 3-5 o'clock position front of the vehicle and is 12 and the back is 6, which was the general direction the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación personnel were fired towards. The vehicle was initially hit at the 9-10 o'clock position, which further lends credence to the narrative that the vehicle was hit via an aerial attack rather than ground fires. Most of the video is infrared with a short colorized segment of the burning Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación vehicle. The video was picked up by various Mexican news agencies and reported almost exclusively in the Spanish language. Of significance is the fact that there is very little documentation of any type of Cartel de Sinaloa drone use presently exists. This is either attributed to their better cartel OPSEC, operational security protocols, which is plausible, giving better overall CDS strategic planning, or simply because the cartel has less experience utilizing drones for ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, propaganda, and direct attack missions than opposition criminal organizations such as the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, el Cartel de Santa Rosa de Lima, or the Carteles Unidos Policía Comunitaria groups. The few examples of the CDS drone use are their fielding of a drone for Recon in March 2021 in Zacatecas, and the probable incorporation of a VR, virtual reality rig, for first-person view drone controlled by a kill team member, El Tigre Sicario, in June 2021 in Durango. It is not common to watch the Cartel de Sinaloa using these weaponized drones, and probably, as this report says, it is mostly because they have other tactics, probably more on the ground layout, and they're probably better prepared to make an on the ground attack instead of using drones, but also because the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación is widely known for having a unit dedicated only to drones. It's called Droneros del Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, which is literally an armed unit dedicating to getting drones, weaponizing this stuff, perfectioning their tactics, and flying these kind of drones around, which the Cartel de Sinaloa lacks. Further, the fact is that the Cartel de Sinaloa has not engaged in any identified weaponized drone attacks prior to this incident. Past weaponized drones use patterns typically follow a 2-stage process, with the use of kamikaze drones, single-use IED platforms, seen initially prior to the fielding of aerial bombardment drones, multi-use bomblet platforms. Either CDS has skipped the initial stage of this evolutionary process, which is highly unusual, or past kamikaze drone use has taken place but has not been identified in social media or news spots. The utilization of attack drones by the CDS represents another indication and warning event related to the increasing proliferation of cartel drone weaponization in Mexico. Luckily, Mexican cartel behaviors in Mexico are very different than those witnessed on and over the US southern border, with the current expectation being that the use of such cartel-attacked drones will remain for the time being well away from the US homeland, which I think it makes sense. I mean, I don't see any weaponized drones used in the next years on the borderlands, right? It wouldn't be as easy to use. Probably not good PR also for the cartel people. What I do know is they're using drones on the border in places like Tijuana, Mexicali, Ciudad Juarez, to look over Nogales, to look over the border and watch the movements of the border patrol, so they can smuggle people in when they're gone. And they're using halcones, which is basically lookouts, knowledgeable on drones and taking notes of the times where the shifts change from one border patrol posting to another, or if they go away for a bit and stuff. So I think this is interesting news, because probably means that this Cartel de Sinaloa is going to start operating drones, weaponized drones, against their rivals. Major developments. Probably the next fights between these cartels are going to be on the air.